It's December 1st, and you probably fall into one of two camps. You've got your faux Christmas tree up already, or you're waiting to pick up a real tree. But maybe this year you're thinking of making a switch, like Cityline viewer Kristen, who had a question for us that Carson Arthur was only too happy to help out with.
Hey Carson, my fiance and I every year around this time get into the same type of debate on whether or not we can fit a real Christmas tree into our house. We both really want to go with a real Christmas tree this year as opposed to fake. Is there any way you can help us out?
I love that question. If you know me, I am a huge fan of real Christmas trees for the holidays. So I love that you and your fiance are considering doing that. But there are a few things you need to think about. Now, before you run out to the tree lot, what about going to a tree farm, maybe one in your community? This supports local farmers. These are crops. They are grown the exact same way as lettuce and kale that you might get from a farmer's stand. So by going to one in your neighborhood, you know you're supporting one of your neighbors. The other thing to think about is one very important tool that you want to bring to a tree farm. No, it's not the saw or the chainsaw, it's a tape measure. Really important to bring a tape measure. The one thing I want you to remember though is you're not just measuring the height of the tree, you're also measuring the width of the tree. So when you take a measurement, you're gonna go into the trunk of the tree like that, and you're gonna only measure half of the tree out, down to the outer branches. There are a few things you can do though to make this work for your space. The first one, you can prune your Christmas tree. Pruners work just fine. In fact, everybody always thinks that you have to keep your tree exactly the way it is. That's not the case. There's nothing wrong with pruning out some of these branches. So when you're looking for your tree in the tree farm, look in and make sure the branches inside are nice and healthy. You don't want any brown in here, you want them green, especially if you're gonna do some pruning. When you prune, you're gonna cut on an angle. You want the longest part of the branch to be on top and the shortest part to be underneath. And the reason you do that little cut is so that you don't see this exposed edge. When you hang ornaments on it, it's gonna pull it down, which means the cut is gonna face the ground. Done properly, these trees can be spectacular, but at the same time, you're doing the right thing for the environment. With your municipal programs, these trees can be composted, which means they're going to be fertilizer for future trees for your family to use down the road.
All right, great tips. And Carson is here with us now to talk about those live trees and potting them beyond the holidays. I can't believe you're here. We pulled you out of the county. We brought you here. It is amazing to see you. So this whole idea of planting the Christmas trees in our yards, is this a bad idea?
I absolutely love that people are moving to live trees. I love it. And yes, I love being back as well.
Yes.
So live trees are one of the biggest trends right now this year. Everybody's talking about it.
Yeah.
You saw in that little clip about going to tree farms, but one of the other ones that people are doing are potted trees.
Yeah.
Now, as I said, these are actually potted trees. I'm going to do a little reveal here.
So cute.
Little strip trees. See what I got there? So these are actually trees in pots. They have roots. People forget that they have to water them. Evergreens, when they're indoors, like this little dwarf Alberta spruce, need more water inside than it needs outside. So it's really important.
So plants need water, Carson?
Yeah, imagine that. Everybody thinks they could just decorate it and walk away. No, you gotta water this twice a week, and a plant this size needs about 1.5 cups to 2 cups of water per watering.
Okay.
If you forget about it, and people always do, they go, oh no, I forgot about my tree. They add all this water all at once, and it pours out the holes of the pots all over the floor. So don't be afraid to get a nice little liner like this, something that's waterproof, that's gonna hold the water around the pot. The other thing that people get wrong is after Christmas, what do you do with this?
I don't know.
It can't go outside. It has to be looked after. If you put this directly from an indoor warm space outside, it freezes, it's gonna die. So there's gonna be a transition period, okay? This little tree needs to be in a solid ice ball. What that means is you're gonna put it outside for a little bit, cool it off, put lots of water in there so this whole area becomes frozen solid like an ice cube.
Okay.
Then it can go outside. What happens in the spring when the sun hits these, it actually have water access to the roots, and that's so it doesn't dry out and turn brown.
Oh my gosh, that's good information.
So it's a great process, but you gotta pay attention. You also have to pay attention to the type of tree that you bought. This is a dwarf Alberta spruce. It's only gonna get about 6 to 8 feet tall. No problem. This little guy, which is very Charlie Brown, and I love him, Colorado blue spruce, on average get between 40 and 60 feet tall. Right, so
Okay.
if you live out west, you know exactly what I'm talking about because
Yeah.
everybody started putting these in their front yards. They get huge. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's great for ornaments, but no, we don't want to put this outside anytime soon. And if you do, you're going to put it in the back of the property, okay?
Okay.
Not near the house.
Good to know.
This beautiful tree.
Before we even move on,
Yeah.
only you could find the buffalo plaid liners, huh? Like, you made that work.
You knew
It's
it
the
had to
Carson
be.
aesthetic.
Of course, plaid everywhere. All right, so this tree here, my personal favorite. Tracy,
Yeah,
feel
I
the
like
branches.
it too because it looks tropical, actually.
It is tropical.
Oh, it is?
It's actually
It's
from
soft.
yeah, it's from Norfolk Island in Australia.
Okay.
So this cannot live outside in the
No.
Canadian climate. So forget it. You're not putting this outside at all.
Yeah.
This is an indoor houseplant that more people are using as a Christmas tree. And I love it.
Yeah.
But people are buying them, not knowing what to do with them,
Yeah.
putting them out on the condo balcony or out on the deck afterwards, and that's it. They cannot handle the cold.
Yeah.
So depending on the type of tree you get, make sure you look up the care instructions and make sure you keep watering them. These are living plants.
Yes.
All right? It's going to be much better for you and the environment.
Just a quick question about this one.
Mm-hmm.
Since it's a tropical plant, not only should it not be outside, but does it need a ton of humidity?
The good news about Norfolk pine is they handle cooler climates, so they can be in a colder room.
Yeah.
It doesn't need a ton of sunlight,
Yeah.
and it's minimal watering.
A lot of people wanting to do live trees this year, but I'm hearing also that they are not growing. They are not the size that people need them to be.
Right.
So,
So you got to be a little creative.
Right?
So there's nothing wrong with putting your trees on a stand. So we're starting to see
Okay.
more and more plinths and stands being used, so you can use a smaller tree, still be decorating, and put lots of presents around it to give it the lift.
Yeah.
I love wooden spindles. I put a wooden spindle on my tree to give it a bit more height, and
Yeah.
you don't have to get the huge one. It doesn't have to be 12 feet tall. You can cheat it.
It doesn't. And we're going to be talking more about smaller trees later on in the show because you can make them look really good, especially if you have multiples, right? Nice stuff, Carson.
Thanks, my dear. Happy
Thank you. It was
holidays.
just good to see you.